everybody, Dr. Rick here. So what we're going to do today is, as you can see, we got some of our rigid tool arsenal out here. The battery powered stuff, have a lot more for our project. You know, we got the planer, the circular saw, the blower, and the couple screw guns, hammer drill, and just a couple pieces of wood here that we have on the Coyote. We may or may not set Sawhorse up for this problem, but our issue is we have steps going into the house that are not easy for somebody older, so we want to kind of just address it shortly to where a simple solution to it. So if you come on over here, I'll show you what we're going to do. So I'm carrying this blower here because I'm just going to use this to kind of blow it out like that, so we got a good work zone. But as people come in, what's happening is they're having to step like this, and so it's making it hard because this alone is a 6 1/4 inch rise, which I think is a perfect step for someone older. But this here, you know, by the time there's no good secure footing either. So our goal is just build a little box here that we can just get one step here, and as you see, we're using the 5/4 by 6, which will give us 11-inch step, which will bring us flush with this piece of wood. Give them something secure, and hopefully they can go over without hitting the threshold here. The other advantage of this is, unless we get a hinge mounted stop, there's really nowhere to mount a stop, so we can actually mount a refrigerator stop so we're not actually creating the dings here. So that's kind of the project for today, and we'll go ahead and get set up, get back to you in a minute. Okay, so what we did here is, this is a 2x8, but we only need about 6 1/8 to 3/16. But I want the steps, so if somebody steps on it, I want it to where they feel more level. So there's a couple spots 6 1/4, so I'm gonna put it 6 1/4, mark the line. But we had the marker 44, and then there's about 8 inch of our box frame, and then because the tread will hang over 3 inches, so we can screw it into the concrete over there. So I left it just a little longer, and basically I'm just going to mark this here so we can actually rip this down to the right height. And so don't got enough of a tooth on this speed square for a good straight line, but it's alright. Usually I use the speed square with a little bit more of a bite into the teeth here, or a chalk line. Okay, so I went ahead and remarked this with the marker by locking it in the groove there. You can see where it gets to be a little more bite. Then we're just going to chop this off. Okay, so I just clamped this down so we get some stability here. I'm just going ahead and cut this now. So what I'm going to do is just set the fence up. We got to make sure the fence isn't here to get hit by the blade. Of course, this one has a little notch in there. I don't know if you can see it, so it don't. So we'll just kind of set it up just in here to make sure we stay on the board, and we'll go ahead and come through it. So right now I'm at 0. So we're just going to take about 3/64 off with each pass here.
More times.
Okay, let me look at the edge here. The hair in here. Okay, so we have what we need here for our depth. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut this off here for our 44. Then we'll cut this in half for our legs going back into it. Then we'll have our platform. What we're doing here is just finish cutting everything up, so we're going to blow off real fast. We can start putting together our box. So what we're going to have is our legs for our box, or I guess our joist. Make sure we have everything up that we want up. And then we'll take and we'll screw this in. Let me kind of move my clamp here. So we'll screw these in here and space these in the middle. And then we'll take and actually be ready for our step itself. What we're going to do is we picked up some Torx bit screws. We're going to use 3 inches for the rough framing, 2 inch for the decking, and then it'll just be a T25 bit, which I enjoy much more than the Phillips. So we'll go ahead and get this fastened and we'll be right back. So right here, if you're watching here, you can see it started pushing it out. So I like to back off once I started my hole a little bit, and then it'll usually bite a little better. Maybe from looking at it, we should go a little lower. Okay, so we'll pop the other two, kind of lay it out, and then put them in, then we'll be right back. So what we did is just to figure out where center is, because it's not 16-inch centers. You can do that, but we just want to put them in the middle here. I took from this center line to this center line, came up with 42.5, divide that by 3 because it's going to be 3 sections where my next 2 come out. And that gave me 14.1 with the remainder of 2. So roughly it would have been 14.11 if it was a hair bigger. 1.25 is an eighth. So, you know, we got 14.125. So we'll put that like kind of the center. That'd be 28.25 roughly. And so we'll just do that in the center. Now the right way to do that would be to pull that back 3/4 of an inch so you know where to start. So if I come back 3/4 of an inch, and then I can start here. So let's see, 1. So now when I put my line down, and then that will be the center of my board. Will line up in the center here. So we'll go ahead and get these done, and then we'll be right back. Okay, so we have our little framework finished here. Let's go dry fit it. And so exactly what we want. And so when somebody comes in, they can take a step and then kind of work their way in. And then when they're here, they can kind of step and take a step down. So not going to be perfect considering we got such a thick threshold, but it's going to be a big improvement for those that need help. So we'll go ahead and cut our 2 boards for the top now. We're going to cut those 44 inches, and then we'll come back when we're ready to screw them on. Okay, so we're going to fasten the first one down after our test fit. We have another 5/4 by 6 here. And I would love to understand why they put the stamp always on the better side instead of the bad side, but you know, I guess it don't matter. And then as you can see here, we'll have this overhang that we'll fasten into the cement here. We may have to trim our door down a little bit just because the door it's going to be pretty tight without this gap being filled. But we have our old, back when I was contractor and we were dealing with I was Trex certified, they sent me these here, so we used to use nails and other stuff, but so I'm using this just as a gap. Traditionally, I do not space the regular wood, only composites, but what I can tell you is I'm spacing this just so we have less of a gap and a bigger step here, and it'll be indoor, but traditionally I would just put them tight because as this shrinks we'll get our natural gaps where composites don't get that drying out and shrinking. So okay, I'm gonna go ahead and get this fastened. We'll just put a couple screws here, and then we'll take and put a couple tap cons in the cement to hold this in place. There you go. So we're going to go ahead and dry fit this and get rid of these spacers. Now what I will tell you is we'll have to lift the box over there so it can slide underneath this, and then we'll probably have to pop the hinges on the door to put a little bit of a plane the bottom just a hair. There we go. So once we take and fasten that down to that concrete, it'll be fixed there permanently. So we'll go ahead and get this in place where we want it, drill with the tap con, the hammer drill, and then we'll take and come back as we try to fasten it. So what we did is we took a bit backwards to put in here, and then use that part that held the nut driver. And not quite deep enough, but better, so we might have to get out here with the so it is popping off because this has a rounded edge, but it's a lot better. And as you can see, we're probably going to have to pop the door off and grind it just a little. Okay, so the reason we want to actually cut this is because this is a solid door, so it's a real good door, but you can see it was probably used where they put it on here, I don't know, but we don't want to be popping this veneer off. So if we kind of give it a little bit of a gap, then we can actually save the door. But I'm just gonna go like this so I know how much I've taken off, and then that way I don't take too much off or too little. So we're going to put a couple passes on here. Okay, so we ended up getting the Tapcon set. Of course, for those of you who don't know, Tapcon is just really a brand of concrete screws. We ended up getting the door planed so we can actually open it. I ideally took off probably about 3/16 of an inch because this should shrink down a little bit. We also put this little stop in here so if somebody comes out here, it shouldn't hit the refrigerator, which is nice. Then follow me on over here. We just cleaned up, but what I wanted to tell you guys is it wasn't hard. All these tools held up really well, except the blade on that saw. That blade's only been used on one other project. I wish it would last a little bit longer. So we'll see if maybe they make a little thicker blade, which I'm sure will kill the battery faster. But if you have any questions on these tools, let us know. We have lots of rigid tools. I think we're going to actually start doing some reviews on them. Otherwise, everything went very well. Thank you for joining us. Remember to like, subscribe, give us positive feedback, and we'll hope you guys have a great week.